So Sebastian and Alex, should we begin?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you unlock the videos, or you want to leave it like this? I don't really care.
Yeah, either's fine for me.
Okay, okay, perfect,
As you wish.
perfect. So you guys can enjoy my video by then.
Yeah,
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Cool. So good morning, people. This is Stephen here from Order Hive, and welcome. I welcome you guys to this webinar on how you can actually maximize your sales, keeping in mind how well your Amazon inventory is. So I am here with my two expert speakers. One of them is Alex, and the other one is Sebastian. So, first of all, hi Alex and hi Sebastian.
Hey, everyone.
Hi
Yeah,
everyone.
yeah. So, I would like to make this webinar very much interactive, and as this webinar is very much focused towards the sellers, the Amazon sellers. So I would like to want you guys to participate as equally as I am, and I'll make sure that you guys are also asking your questions to Amazon, to Alex and Sebastian. So moving ahead with the introductions, Sebastian here is an expert growth hacker, and he is also the founder of Invinci Agency. And his agency here is actually working on boosting the sales of the Amazon sellers as well as shaping up their brands. Am I right, Sebastian?
Yeah, that's correct. We normally, actually, most of the time we work with vendors, with bigger companies, but we do help sellers out, and have actually some bigger companies who have moved from being vendors to sellers, which has been quite an interesting experience.
Fantastic, fantastic. And Alex here is, he has actually been a very experienced Amazon seller, and that experience has actually made him discover that spark within himself, that he was able to start up with the seller suite, and seller suite is actually assisting all the Amazon sellers fulfilling all their requirements. I'm right, Alex?
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. I started selling online probably about 15 years ago with RA, retail arbitrage, and then I moved into Amazon, and then finally I'm into the SaaS business. But yeah, that's spot on.
Perfect. So you guys can point me out wherever if I miss anything out.
Okay.
Okay. So Sebastian, I would like to as I said that this webinar is all about Amazon FBA. So like I think pretty much people out there are pretty much aware about what Amazon FBA is, and if you guys are not, I will definitely share a link wherein you can read each and every detail about what Amazon FBA is. So in the meanwhile, Sebastian, can you please let me know like what is the perfect time for a particular seller that he can switch on or move on to Amazon FBA? Is there a right time, or he or she can simply go ahead with it since the very beginning?
Well, you can always start with FBA. That's actually not that much of a problem. About the right time, I think it depends on what your goals are. If you're in, for example, you're selling a couple of small things along the lines, that with an inventory that you can manage from home, and you have a set up shipping and distribution system, it is definitely manageable. I do think there comes a time, when you're selling like dozens of units a day or maybe hundreds of units a day, where you really want to go into FBA because it makes your life so much easier. Not to mention all the advantages that FBA actually brings for the sellers, right? For example, being able to access Prime or Fulfilled by Amazon, which is a huge upseller for customers, as Prime membership is only growing despite of the price increase of the Prime membership in the last couple of years. So your question is, yeah, you can start whenever. It has an upside cost. It has more to do with your goals. If you're into the game, if you're really into selling as a seller on Amazon, I think you should join FBA, just because it brings a ton of advantages, like in terms of managing your stock and and just like even being able to plug into Prime.
Yeah.
So Alex, do you want to add into something?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, so I agree with everything that Sebastian said, but one of the big advantages that I found going into FBA, because I was FBM for some time, and when I went into FBA, I also found that it was much easier to manage my costs, so my cash flow going forward. So I'm based in Atlanta, Georgia, which is roughly southeast, and so anytime that I would get a sale in California, my shipping costs would be quite more expensive than if I had to ship to someone in Alabama or New York. And so FBA allowed me to, it's a much more controlled cost. You know what your costs are going to be. And that was very, very helpful for me.
Okay. That's perfect. So I would also like to ask that, is there like any specific industry or any specific niche, if a seller is belonging to if he or she is a fashion seller or an electronic seller, so do you recommend such niches or industries to opt for FBA, or is it like made for all?
So that's a lot. That's a difficult question to answer. I mean, you really got to do the research. But one thing that I found was that products that were below $15 generally didn't do that well on FBA. It was much better for me just to fulfill it myself. But in terms of niches and categories, I mean, if you're a new seller, I would advise staying away from restricted categories. But other than that, you really got to do the research to see what makes sense for you.
Okay, that would be perfect.
Yeah, I think the only other thing you might want to consider, like when switching to FBA, it has a little bit to do with the returns that you get. So if you have a product that you might expect actually high return rates, and you want to actually control that the products were broken or damaged in any way, it might be easier in those cases to not go into FBA because, not go into FBA, so you have a better return control over your products, right? So if you're, for example, selling laptops and you're fulfilling them with FBA, and you get a broken laptop back, it's going to go first to Amazon, and then you have to request it back, and it's going to be very tedious. Instead, if you fulfill directly, you will get it back, and you can assess like if it's actually damaged, if it was damaged from the beginning or not.
Yeah, that's a great point. And one more thing I forgot to add is hazmat materials. I sold one of the products I sold had essential oils in it, and that is a hazmat material for FBA. And dealing with hazmat materials turned out to be a huge pain for me. So that's something that you'll want to consider before going to FBA.
Okay, that was really like a very, very fruitful answer from you guys. So I would also like to ask, like, there are certain fees involved in Amazon FBA. So considering the small scale sellers, the medium scale sellers, and the large scale sellers, what kind of sellers are actually, do you think, are actually capable of fulfilling those fees and getting into the Amazon FBA thing? Sebastian, can you hear me?
No, sorry, it's cutting off in between a little bit. Could you repeat, please?
Yeah, so I was actually asking about, there are certain fees involved in Amazon FBA. So categorizing our sellers into three, like small scale, medium scale, and large scale. So how they can, afford such fees? Is it feasible for them to move ahead with it?
Again, I think if you're serious about selling on Amazon, if you're serious about selling online, then the FBA fees aren't going to be that much, and you should consider them like into your business plan and cash flow. If you're just like a small site seller, we have a couple of units and you're experimenting around and want to learn about Amazon, then I would definitely advise like staying away for the time being from FBA, because you're gonna incur an unnecessary cost per se. That said, I think the more obvious it is that you should be switching over to FBA. Yeah.
Okay. Also, like considering the small scale sellers. So if at all they are getting a certain amount of inventory into their own warehouse, and then they want certain amount of inventory to be sent to the Amazon FBA warehouse. So what percentage of inventory should they decide, and how much of inventory should they send, forward to the Amazon FBA warehouse?
Well, I think you can't really set like a certain percentage. It has to do with how much you expect to sell and how much you will see you're actually selling. The thing that you do not want to do is actually run out of stock at all, because as soon as you run out of stock, your listing on Amazon will crash. So I will assume you will have done a lot of work on the back end about optimizing it and getting it up in the rank and have your PPC campaigns in place to promote it. As soon as you're out of stock, that whole system collapses. It gets frozen. But basically what it tells the Amazon algorithm is that you're not any longer in the game, and it just like kicks you out. So in order to back start it up, for example, if you have a product and you run out for 2-3 weeks while you're waiting to get new stock in, you basically have to start from scratch. So if you wanna have, let's say you have 100 units and you expect to sell 60 units per month at Amazon, you want to have probably 70 units in stock, and then start tracking how it behaves and restock on time basically, and keep up the curves. And then you also need to prepare for other events like Black Fridays or certain festivities that might spike an increase of sales of your product, to prevent again running out of stock on Amazon.
Okay. So that was amazingly put down. Alex, I would just like to ask, are there any kind of risks involved if I'm selling, if I'm sending a particular stock to Amazon FBA warehouse?
If you're sending any risk involved, I mean,
Yeah.
I can tell you a personal story. I was sending up a product to FBA, and I didn't realize that they had added it to hazmat material, and I did not get it approved via hazmat prior. And so it would stay in Amazon warehouses for, I want to say 2 months. And then eventually they had to ship it back and for me to get the approval. So that's just one thing. Make sure that you know what you're shipping up to Amazon FBA. Make sure that you have the FNSKU codes on each product. Because if you don't have that, that can delay things quite a bit. And also Amazon will charge you a premium to add the FNSKU code. So those are some things that you can easily avoid.
Okay. So also if I'm sending a particular stock to the Amazon FBA fulfillment center, and I want to set up a reorder point, So how can I do that? How can I, involve my inventory management software into this?
So I used a inventory software solution that kind of calculated all the reorder points for mine. You guys probably know this better than me, but the algorithm, I believe, is lead time times the safety stock point. I mean, one of you guys would probably have a better stake on this, but I used the software or inventory software that calculated that for me, which was very, very helpful.
Okay. So guys, we actually have a couple of questions over here from our viewers. So one of them is from Lisa. She's saying that I run my offline store of men and women apparels. So now she's planning to move her business online, and she's willing to start it with FBA. So what kind of products is she advised to sell via Amazon FBA? What kind of products are you advising her?
Just reading it.
Can you hear me, Alex?
Yeah, I'm just reading the question.
Okay.
So if you're selling women apparel, I mean, I never got into men's or women's apparel, so I'd have to do the research and to see what it actually did well, but I would advise nothing that's too bulky.
Okay.
I always suggest going with, lighter weight products to avoid shipping costs. And also, obviously, you want to sell something that is moving very well, because one thing about FBA, one of the risks is that if your product isn't moving after 6 months, Amazon tags you with a pretty significant fee. So you want to make sure that any product that is up there is going through within 6 months. I mean, the sooner the better, obviously.
Okay.
But in terms of what to sell in women's apparel, I really couldn't give you a solid answer on that.
Okay. So Lisa also has one more question. She is like, what if her products gets damaged in the Amazon's warehouse? So,
Well, that's a great question.
Sebastian, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm here.
Sebastian.
I'm here. Sorry, repeat the question.
So I was like, Sebastian would be a better one to answer this question.
All good.
Which question are we at? Like, I have a little bit of a cut off connection right now.
Okay, so it's like Lisa is asking that what if her products are getting damaged in the Amazon's warehouse?
Oh, okay, perfect. So that's actually pretty straightforward. You have different options basically.
What should she do?
Amazon does have so if a product gets damaged, they will notify you that the product got damaged, and they normally reimburse you a certain amount of the product. I'm saying a certain amount because it's rarely that they go with the selling price. They normally return to you the selling price minus the fee, minus some other fees, just like a discounted amount, which if you're not happy with it, you can always fight it. You can always claim back that it's way below the value that you had to buy it. But most of the time I would say, and maybe Alex can help me out from his side, but I would say most of the time, if you have a damaged product, it's just like a write-off and you get a certain reimbursement.
Yeah. And to add to what Sebastian said, so I've dealt with a lot of lost inventory or damaged inventory, and Amazon usually tells you when this happens, but they don't always tell you. So I know there are some tools out there. Seller Suite has a tool that checks all your inventory and makes sure that you're getting all the reimbursement that you know is owed to you. So you definitely want to keep an eye on those. We're not talking. I mean, it depends on how much volume you're moving. You could be losing thousands, but it's just something that you definitely want to keep an eye on.
Perfect.
Yeah. The only thing I would say that add to it, and this does not have directly to do with like damaged goods, but it's with the shipments that arrive at Amazon. If you're shipping to Amazon, so Amazon has a very narrow street of working. They give you a guideline to work with, and you have to make sure, as Alex said before, that you follow the guideline that they give you, because if you don't, you're always going to run into problems. So if you're shipping, for example, products to Amazon and you're not fulfilling like the label that they request, then it might be that you lose more stock than you should, or just like because they have to open the pack. So if it's wrongly labeled, you're going to run into much more problems of losing stock and getting stock damage than if you don't. So that's like a very basic thing that people often get wrong, where you can improve and save yourself a lot of problems.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So moving ahead to the next question, it's from Richard. Richard is asking like, how can you get a good grip on the sales that you can expect from a product so you don't have in either too little or too much? So I think, Alex, you can cater to this right now.
Yeah. I mean, so I've used software before that kind of helps with this, but I mean, you really want to check out how your product is. I mean, it depends on how long you've been selling it or how much data you have for, based on how much research you did before you started selling that product. But you really base it off of the sales in any particular month. And then, what I would always do if last Christmas, I was sold, say 100 units. And then this year I'm noticing an uptrend of about 20%. Then I would add maybe 15, 20% additional to that 100. So say, that'd be 150 or 15 or 120 to make sure that that's in inventory. So I would just kind of take into account historical sales as well as how I'm currently doing.
Okay. Also, Richard, you have asked us that what can be a good inventory software for your online business. So it's natural. It's definitely, I would say, Order Hive. Go for Order Hive.
Yeah. I didn't see. I don't think I saw Order Hive when I started, and so I can just personally say that I use Sellbrite, but Sellbrite I know just got bought out by GoDaddy, so I imagine they're probably going to be going through some rough transitional times. I just want to throw that one out there.
Thank you, Alex.
Yeah. But I love Order Hive.
Okay, so it seems like you have gone through the software.
I've only tried two or three. Yeah, I've only tried two or three different inventory software.
Okay, okay. So like moving on to the next question. What if what if a seller decides to move ahead with the MCF plan
Hmm.
and is actually segregating all the entire inventory into three. Let's suppose that he is planning to sell on Amazon, eBay, and some other marketplace. So he has actually segregated the entire inventory into three parts. So now how can he send that stock to the Amazon FBA center, and will that be fruitful for him or her?
So I'm trying to understand the question. So what you're asking whether or not MCF is fruitful for people selling on different channels?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
So
No, no.
absolutely.
So the question
Okay.
is basically like, because Amazon has the MCF system, that it's an upsale from FBA,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Exactly. So you're basically using the Amazon warehouses to fulfill all your other orders independently where you're
Yes,
selling, like your
Right.
own warehouse, like website, eBay, whatever. So that's actually, yeah, that's what the question is heading, right?
yes, yes, absolutely.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I
Okay.
used MCF quite a bit. I loved MCF. I had a very, very good experience with it. It is a little bit more expensive. It's a little bit more of an upsell when you do use MCF, but I had it on Etsy, eBay, and Shopify. So it was something that definitely helped my business quite a bit, and it made my life a lot easier.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Sebastian, would you like
I
to
have,
add something?
yeah, I have to agree with Alex. I think when it comes to fulfillment, logistics basically can be quite a pain point in your business, right? Because if you're manually tackling all the different systems, unless you have someone that you hire and it's a dedicated person for it, it can be quite problematic. So if you're a sole trader, if you're a one-man army, basically, or a two-man army, let's say, you want to make your life as easy as possible. And I think MCF does give you that option to really get that problem out of your hands,
Hmm.
as you just like have to handle one channel instead of handling 3 channels or 4 channels or 5 channels. Just like you sell everything into it, it gets sorted out, given you pay a little bit more, but it just like it's trackable. I think it's a great concept that Amazon came out with it.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. So, like, are there any tips or tricks that you guys would like to share if you guys have tried this thing?
So one thing that some issues that I ran into when there was a return, for instance, if somebody returned the product on eBay, they return it to the Amazon warehouses, that would cause some confusion with my customers on eBay, but it really wasn't so much of a headache that it didn't make it worth it. Um, that's really the only thing that I could say, negative that I can say about MCF.
Okay, okay. Also, like talking about the unfulfillable inventory that stays in the Amazon FBA center. So, how can a seller, take care of that?
There's really only, I mean, to my knowledge, there's really only two options. You either dispose of the product or have them ship it back to you. And you really, I mean, that's like a case by case basis where you really have to do the numbers and see if it makes sense for them to ship it back to you. But their shipping price from the last time I did it, and again, I sold my Amazon business, but it was pretty low, and it typically made sense for me to ship it back, depending, again, how much inventory it was. But yeah, that's yeah. Hope that made sense.
Uh, Alex, can you hear me?
Yeah, did you get the answer that I just gave?
I actually missed on the last part. Can you please repeat it again?
Oh, sorry. So basically, I think you really only have two options when you have unfulfillable inventory at Amazon. You either have them send it back to you or you have them dispose of it. And I really think it's a case by case basis. You got to do the numbers and see if it makes sense for them to send it back to you. However, again, I sold my business a year ago, so I haven't done this in a while. I don't know what the fees are, but I remember them being pretty nominal. So it usually made sense for them to send it back to me.
Okay. Okay. And Sebastian, would you like to add something on?
Well, Alex put it out there pretty clear. It also depends a lot what you're selling, right? If you, for example, get a product back where you kind of know that people might order it and try it out and they don't like it and just like send it back, and you get it back to Amazon warehouse, it's going to be labeled as a used product basically. But if you ship it back, if the price point is, if it's still profitable, you ship it back, repackage, you can always then send it back to Amazon as new. So it really depends on the product, like what you do and what you can do and what you cannot do. You might have products where once the package is open, it's basically gone. Then you might as well dispose of it. So here in Europe, I think they're changing the laws pretty soon. They're working on it, that Amazon won't be allowed anymore to dispose of products, because it's been a huge issue here that they're throwing away so much merchandising, which is basically brand new. It's only has been opened and sent back. That maybe in the near future, disposal here in the UK, at least in the UK, won't be possible anymore.
Okay. Okay. And talking about the individual products and the bundle product. So how can a seller, send all such products to the fulfillment centers? Like, are there special care needed for this?
For bundle products?
Yes, for the bundle as well as the individual products.
Right. So I really can't speak to this. I don't think I've ever created a bundle listing. No, I definitely haven't. But I do know that bundle listings, they need their own UPC code. And I wouldn't imagine there would be much of a difference, but maybe Sebastian can speak to this because I don't have too much experience on that.
Okay. No, I don't have too much experience either on bundled products. You definitely, as Alex said, you definitely need like an individual code, but I don't know how Amazon actually handles that, like on the back side. On the vendor side, I think sometimes they compose the products, but that's on the vendor side because Amazon actually owns, they buy the stock directly, so they manage the bundles internally.
Okay. So coming back to the growth of the Amazon sellers and how they can maximize their sales on Amazon. So are the lightning deals much more important for them, or are the PPC marketing strategies? So can you throw some light on that?
Yeah. So speaking from my experience, I didn't have really a great experience with lightning deals unless I really needed to get rid of inventory. And, at that point, it made more sense to sell it in a lightning deal than for Amazon to dispose of it or send it back to me. But PPC was definitely the way to go in terms of growth. You definitely want to go that way. And, before you go to PPC, I would just tell anybody that's new to selling, make sure your product listings are optimized or SEO optimized for Amazon search algorithm. You definitely want to make sure that you have the right product title in there, you have the right search terms in there, and then once you have your listing all set up and looking good, then I would say get into PPC.
Perfect. And Sebastian, would you like to add on to something?
Yeah, so basically the difference between PPC and the lightning deals is like the PPC is a long-term strategy that you're pursuing to grow your business, while the lightning deals are like more for special occasions, like special events, like for example Valentine's Day or different things where you do want to like basically punch your competitors a little bit and position yourself. Or if you're just starting you're launching your product, sometimes it's also like good to get it out there just so you get like some more reviews and some more traction on the Amazon system, because your ranking depends as well how much you're selling. Basically, the whole Amazon system is laid out to promote the product that Amazon thinks is most probably gonna sell to the customer, right?
Okay.
On the PPC side, as Alex said, it's really important that you get your listing rights. That means when you optimize it for the Amazon algorithms, the internal ones, it's really important that you get the right keywords on your headline first, because that's where Amazon is going to look first. The bullet points and descriptions, as well as that use as many keywords on the back end, keyword section. And then if you have advanced content, say A+ content, which is an upsell, like, get that one right as well. And only when you have the description right, I would start with the PPC. So only when you have it shelf ready, basically, start with the PPC, because otherwise you're going to start spending money. And what's going to happen is that the campaigns that you're running will not be able to relate to your content that Amazon is trying to track. And because it cannot relate, it won't be listing as high as it should be, or it won't be winning the bids. And in the worst case, it will win the bids. People will click on it and they will find like that what you're describing is not satisfactory, or it's actually not interesting, and they will just like not buy your product. So their conversion rate will suffer with it as well. Let's say if you're new to Amazon advertising, a couple of recommendations I would give is run first an automatic campaign on your new product. So you get like a scope. So the automatic campaigns basically go and take the description that you put in the keywords and try to match it up to search to different searches. And that is going to give you, if you let it run for two weeks to a month or a bit longer, it will basically give you a keyword database that you can start working with and start optimizing. And once you have the database, and it will tell you pretty clearly what people are looking for or where your product is being placed, then you can start your manual campaigns, I would say. And I always, what I do on our clients is, but this is because they all have their own brands. I separate all the brand terms from the non-branding terms, because if you mix everything together and you have a brand that is recognizable and people look for the brand, it would always screw up the statistics of your campaign. It will always like lower your A cost, and give you a false sense of efficiency, and it will be much harder to detect like which keywords are not running. So if you have your own brand, create a campaign for your brand, just like with your brand terms, and create a campaign just for all the other keywords, so you can like start optimizing over time. You will see like which keywords are working better, which are not. And eventually it's not that bad to run the automatic campaign every now and then again to see like what has changed. People do change the search behaviors depending on the seasons. So yeah.
Perfect. So as you mentioned, the keywords and the product descriptions, they really matter. Yes, especially during the season sales.
Oh
And
yeah, absolutely.
yes. So
I just want to
as
say,
yes, yes.
Sebastian just gave some really great information, that whole thing. So anyone listening, that was a really good answer.
Kudos, Sebastian.
Thank you.
So as we were talking about the seasonal sales, we all know that Amazon Prime Day sale is coming now. So it's probably it's on 15th and 16th of July. So I just wanted to ask, like, how can the sellers, they can actually manage their inventory throughout this period?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Yeah. So you might be knowing that Amazon Prime Day sale is coming now.
Mm-hmm.
It's on 15th and 16th of July, probably. So I wanted to ask that how the sellers are actually managing their entire inventory right now. Are they getting in more stock and filling it up so that they can sell more comparatively?
Yeah, definitely, that's the idea. I mean, anytime there's a big sale coming up, or holiday season, or your sales season coming up, you want to make sure that you have all the inventory in stock. As Sebastian said previously, if you go out of stock, your BSR, bestseller rank, drops significantly. I mean, it changes a lot day to day anyways, but when you go out of stock, it drops. And so your search ranking is going to really get hurt. So you definitely want to make sure that you have stock available for these big holiday sales.
Perfect. So Sebastian, are there
Yeah,
I
think it's
yeah.
I think it's worth it, like to stock up like ahead. In the worst case, if you end up sitting on a little bit of stock, you can always like run some deals to reduce your stock, or you can always just like let it run and skip like a stocking segment. So you basically start burning through the stock that you have and just like let it run out a little bit longer. But as Alex said, and it's just like you do not want to run out of stock. It's in my opinion, it's probably one of the worst thing that can happen in the rank, like with your listing. which you can control, right? Because if you get like some crazy review or you get flagged or whatever, that's kind of like out of your hands. But it's a very rookie mistake that a lot of people do, and I see it over and over. And people just go, it's like, oh, I ran out of stock, like my ranking dropped. What can I do to get up again? It's like, well, you basically can start from scratch again. Like the longer you're out of business, the worse it gets. So it's better to spend a little bit more, have a little bit of caution in your inventory at Amazon, and just be on the safe side. And then afterwards, if you don't want it, like you can just like call it back, make a lightning deal. You know, it's more manageable on that side than running out of it on the long run.
Perfect. Also, Sebastian, Lisa has one more question for us. She's asking that, is it a good idea to update the prices of the products that are doing really good during the Amazon sale, the Prime Day sale?
All right. So there's an urban Amazon legend that says basically that people hike up the price before. So during Prime Day, the price drops and they basically keep the price, but like they think they're going to sell more. It does not work, because what Amazon actually does, like it takes some time for your price changes to kick in. And I think right now Amazon is actually taking the price from the last 30 to 60 days. I'm not sure like where they're standing right now. It changes like year to year, but somewhere there between the last 30 and 60 days before Prime Day, they're going to grab one of those prices to promote it on Prime Day, exactly to prevent this, that people were hiking the prices. So even if you would do it, it wouldn't work. They would just, you would have to do it 2 months before that, but then you would impact your sales basically for 1 to 2 months, which you don't really want to do. I think you have to take Prime as what it is, you know, like get it out there, sell your products, have happy customers that hopefully gonna come back, that hopefully gonna leave you like good reviews, and yeah, you have to be in it.
Yeah, and one thing I just want to mention on changing prices, this isn't really in regards to Prime Day, but changing prices in general. If you change prices by a significant amount, Amazon has been, what I've been hearing and what I noticed towards the end of my days of selling is that Amazon was actually unlist your item. So if you do change your prices, I would recommend changing them in increments, smaller increments rather than larger increments.
Perfect. That was something that I wasn't knowing for sure. Thank you, guys. Also, like we have one more question here. It's like how to cancel Amazon FBA shipment after taking a particular time slot. So, is there any option like that, or like what might happen if we cancel such a shipment?
I mean, I think it depends on what stage it's in. If you've already shipped it, there's really not a whole lot you can do. You can have them send it back to you, but obviously you're going to incur some charges. But if you just create the shipment and you haven't shipped it out yet, then you can delete it at any time, and there won't be any repercussions for that.
Okay. Sebastian,
yeah, and towards what Alex said is I followed, like, and this has come up like on a couple of groups as well, that some people were asking if it's advisable to have their stock sent directly from their manufacturers via a warehouse and then like straight onto Amazon. And that's definitely not advisable. Just like as Alex mentioned, you kind of like lose control if there's something wrong, if you want to call it back. And not to mention that I would never trust that the manufacturer is necessarily gonna get all the labeling right and all the information that you're required by Amazon. So definitely have an in-between step to check your inventory, to check that the products that you're getting are correct and in good shape, and then forward them to Amazon.
Definitely. Yeah. And just to add to that, yeah, you definitely want to check before sending to Amazon. But there are, if your product's in China and you're shipping it to Amazon USA, there are third-party prep companies that you can use that will do that for you, which will provide some more assurances for you. And they're not really that expensive from my experience, but that's one option.
Perfect. So the viewers, to all of you, I am out of my questions right now. So if at all you guys have anything more to ask right now. We have Sebastian and Alex here, the experts. Alex and Sebastian, if you guys want to add on to something that you guys think I missed out.
No, I'm pretty good on everything that's basically that we wanted to cover. The only thing I can add in terms of Amazon advertising, because that's something that people seem to struggle with. Amazon actually has a really good Amazon advertising accreditation program that's online. It takes you about probably, I don't know, an hour and a half, 2 hours max to go through with it. And it will explain you very much in detail how Amazon advertising works. So how the PCC campaigns work, PPC campaigns work, how the information works that you're getting out of it, and how to manage and use that information to improve your campaign. So if you're serious about being on Amazon and if you're serious about spending money on advertising, I would definitely recommend that anyone who's gonna do that, like goes onto the platform and does their Amazon advertising affiliate training.
Yeah, and to add what Sebastian said, I know that in early 2019, Amazon announced that they were going to invest very heavily into their sponsored ads. And sure enough, they have been. And there have been significant changes almost weekly on the sponsored ads. So what I would advise anyone that's getting into it, there's also Amazon webinars that they host twice a week. These are live webinars, and they give you all the up-to-date information on sponsored ads. So I would highly advise, if you're new to this, take those webinars. Those are very, very important information, and you know that they're going to be up to date. I would not recommend following, YouTubers who have, PPC tutorials, because they're most likely going to be out of date, at least for this year.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree.
So guys, we have one more question here. So it's like, what if we add one variant in FBA shipment and send another variant to Amazon? What will happen?
I don't really.
Alex, can you please?
I'm not sure I totally understand the question.
No, okay. I think basically she's saying if you're selling a wrong product.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, you're selling a wrong product?
No, you're sending. So you have one product listed, and instead of sending product A, you're sending product B.
Gotcha. Well,
yes,
you definitely want to avoid that. That can definitely cause some confusions. I mean, worst case scenario, I would say that they actually ship that product to your customer, and then your customer gets upset, possibly leaves you a bad review. The other option, the other thing that could happen is that it just gets lost or misplaced, or they have to send it back to you. So there's really no good scenario that comes out of that. So you just really want to avoid that.
So I am actually linking Lisa's question to this particular topic. She has asked that how are the returns handled in FBA? So
are those like returns from the customer to yes. Amazon, yes. Or from Amazon to you?
So it's like Amazon, from the Amazon facility to the seller.
Okay, so if you have a wrong shipment, basically how the returns are handled.
Yes.
Well, I think Alex is more suited to answer this. Like, he has more experience in this.
So if you ship the wrong products to Amazon, how are those returns handled?
Yes. You can also tell me about, like, if the customer is returning the product to Amazon.
Oh, so if the customer so if the customer returns the product to Amazon, it's typically, I've never had it not be in a suitable case or a fulfillable. I've always had to have them either return it to me or dispose it. So that's really the only thing. I've never had them been able to resell that product. So that's typically how I've handled returns. I imagine maybe some returns, if like the seal isn't broken, maybe Amazon will put that back, but I really can't speak to that. I'm not sure.
Okay.
She clarified that it's from Amazon to seller. So basically, to the question before, if you send like your wrong inventory to Amazon, and if they send it back.
Yeah, luckily I've never had that happen, but I would imagine if you did that, I mean, once it's at Amazon's warehouse, they don't take, any fault for what you ship them. So you're going to have pay that fee to ship it back.
Okay. And also, like, what might happen if the customer here plays the fraud and sends back something that was never shipped to the customer. So
If they,
yes.
sorry, can you repeat that?
Yes, it's like if the customer has ordered a red shirt and if he is returning a yellow shirt, uh, stating that he has received a wrong product. So
Yeah.
in that case, what will Amazon do?
Amazon's really good about taking responsibility for their problems. If it's very clear, it's got to be very clear that they made the mess up. And in that case, they typically do handle it well. They'll send the customer the correct product, and then they'll reimburse you for the product if it can't be resold. So that's typically what happens in my experience.
Okay. So how, Sebastian, how will you like to add on something?
No, I think Alex put it out there pretty clear.
Okay. Perfect. So, guys, you want to ask us anything else?
And I think Lisa asked, what if my product gets lost in between?
Yes.
So if your product gets lost and it's, Amazon has it in their warehouses, they've accounted for it, and then it gets lost, it really depends. If it gets lost in transit, Amazon really doesn't take any responsibility for that. If it gets lost at their warehouses, they will reimburse you for it. But yeah, if it's lost in transit, in my experience, they've never taken responsibility for it.
Okay. Okay.
But one thing I will say, and this is something that happened to me a lot. I see a lot of sellers ask this question. So if the buyer says, "Hey, I haven't received my package," but then you look at tracking and it shows that it was delivered, one trick that I've done and it has worked very, very well is to tell the buyer to ask them for the post office's phone number, because sometimes it will go out for shipping and then the person isn't there and then it'll go back to the post office. So I'll ask them for the post office number and tell them that I'll call them the next day. And I would say 9 times out of 10, the buyer will not follow up with me and just leave it be. So that's something that I would recommend doing if you ever get a buyer saying, "Hey, where's my package?"
Right. Right. So yeah, that was pretty fruitful from your end, Alex.
Yeah, I hope that helps.
Yes. So Lisa is pretty much happy with the answer.
Happy to help with that.
Perfect.
Pleasure, Lisa. Pleasure. So, any more questions we have? I think that's it. So, Alex and Sebastian, just on a final note, would you like to add on to something? Would you like to conclude?
No, I think that's everything. I mean, it's hard to on the spot to think of anything. There's just there's a lot, but no, I don't really have anything at the moment.
Anything I would add? I don't know. Try to keep your life simple with Amazon. Follow the rules, and keep your logistics as easy as possible. I think people often spend too much time trying to figure out and cut costs in the small corners around doing everything by themselves, and then eventually end up spending much more time and potentially money ironing out problems that they're running into. So yeah, keep it simple, use tools that are available, and focus on what you're doing, which is selling your product, basically promoting and selling your product. That's the important part.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah.
So,
yes. Oh, sorry. I was going to add to that. That's a really big one. If you do have your own brand, make sure that you're promoting on other channels besides Amazon, Instagram, Facebook, whatever. It's really important that you're not just focused on Amazon if you are carrying your own brand.
Perfect. So the shaping of the brand is equally important. That's what you're saying, Alex, right?
Definitely. If it's not like a one-off product, you're actually trying to build a brand. It's absolutely vital.
Perfect. Yeah. Perfect.
But that's like a whole that can be like a discussion for another webinar. Basically, that's a whole other box that we do not want to open right now.
Definitely.
Right. So I think Amazon will be having a whole help section for the sellers on their own website, so they can always go onto that and read out to whatever doubts they have. Also, the link that Alex has shared regarding the webinars, you can always go onto that and check it out, especially the new sellers.
Yep.
So, guys, it was like really, really good having you here, and
Yes.
this session was really informative. Trust me on that.
Perfect. Happy to have been able to help.
Pleasure.
Yeah, same here. Really happy. Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Pleasure. I think we'll do some more sessions like that in the future.
Looking forward to it.
Perfect. Looking forward. Yeah.
I think we have one more question from P. Yan here.
Okay.
So,
The link that I posted, Faye, it has all the times, everything that you need. I believe last time I checked, they only have 2 classes or 2 lessons per week. So, but all the information's on the link that I sent you.
so yes, I've pasted it again on the chat box. P, you can have it from here. Pleasure, Faye. So, guys, let's end this session here itself. I'm like totally so happy having you guys here. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
No, thank you.
We'll do it again someday for sure.
Definitely. Enjoy the rest of your week, everyone.
Yeah. Enjoy your time.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.